There's an entire advanced civilization there, including some of the largest pyramids on Earth, right in Antarctica.
The claims made in this video are largely based on speculation, anecdotal evidence, and interpretations of historical events without providing concrete proof. Many of the claims are based on conspiracy theories and pseudoscience, lacking rigorous scientific scrutiny. So, let's scrutinize the crap out of them, shall we? Please subscribe. Billy Carson is the founder and CEO of Forbidden Knowledge, Inc. Ooh, how very woke of you, Billy. And it's a conscious streaming TV network, whatever the hell that means, which, if today's video is anything to go by, is filled to bursting point with misinformation, pseudoscientific claims and conspiracy theories. So without further ado, let's hear from the man himself.
There is a situation that began to happen during World War II where they discovered that the had went down to Antarctica and built the base down there.
While there have been claims that the built the base in Antarctica, there is no concrete evidence to support the claims.
No evidence.
No evidence.
No evidence.
But some people believe that they may have been interested in Antarctica because of its strategic location and natural resources. But, as is the case with most of the people I make videos about, there is no evidence that they ever built a permanent base there.
New Schwabenland. They were like, wait a minute.
Something ain't right.
Now, a German expedition from 1938 to 1939, led by Captain Alfred Ritzka, did establish a temporary base in the region they named New Swabia. What a stupid... I didn't even know there was an old Swabia. Now, the base was only operational for a few months and it was abandoned before the start of World War II.
Why in the world would they go to this desolate place? What's down there that they would want to go through the harsh weather and risk everything, risk even their lives to be down there and build a base?
Temporary base. Why do you keep leaving that part out? And it was primarily for exploration, mapping of the continent, and scientific research.
Now, there's an incredible story that was in Admiral Byrd's diary that was found by his kids, where he said he flew into an area that opened up at Antarctica, and he went into an area where it was lush and tropical almost.
Now, are we talking about his actual diary? Because that does detail his extensive exploration of Antarctica, including flights over vast icy landscapes. But there's no mention of finding any tropical oasis. Or are we talking about the secret diaries, which is what I suspect you're talking about? But if it is, this is where things get murky. Now, there is a book titled The Secret Diary of Richard E. Byrd, but its authenticity is highly questionable. Critics argue it's a work of fiction published long after his death, and it mixes inconsistencies with known facts. And some believe that Byrd's comments about wanting to see the land beyond the pole hints at hidden worlds, but it likely referred to unexplored parts of Antarctica itself, not some magical realm.
And as he got into this area, this is according to his own diary. People can look this up.
Well, I did look it up, and you're full of it with an SH at the beginning. But based on Admiral Byrd's published diary, To the Pole, and his other official records, there is no mention of him encountering a tropical area within Antarctica. And it's important to distinguish between Byrd's authentic writings and the claims made in the later published The Secret Diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd, because that's the book which contains the story of him finding a lush green oasis in Antarctica, along with other fantastical claims and elements. And it all happened after he died, so he wasn't around to call BS himself.
Something took over his plane, and these two UFO-type craft, circular craft, flying saucers, came, and it took over his craft, and it guided him in to this area where they landed.
Now, I'm starting to see a pattern forming here. It seems to me that we're not actually looking at his actual diaries. We're just going to use the made-up ones for everything else we're going to talk about in this video. But there we are, we're here now, aren't we?
And then they took him to meet somebody that he calls in his diary the Master.
In his fake diary. Because there's no mention of any of this in his actual diary. You should try reading it. It's really interesting.
Pretty interesting story.
Yeah, I'm pretty made up.
You know, all of a sudden, Admiral Byrd's going down there with a fleet. Not just a small fleet. He took over 3,000 people with him.
Well, it depends which expedition you're talking about, but I'm going to guess you're talking about Operation Highjump, a massive naval operation with a focus on mapping Antarctica and training. And this was by far his largest expedition, with over 4,700 personnel and a fleet of ships and aircraft.
This was a huge expedition. It was a military expedition. When he got down there, they had a situation where some of these flying objects were attacking some of their ships.
So another claim which is based on conspiracy theories and misinterpretations of declassified documents with zero concrete evidence to back it up. Now, the official purpose of the operation was to conduct scientific research, map the Antarctic region, and test equipment in extreme conditions. And they don't get much more extreme than Antarctica. Now, the claims of UFO attacks emerged years after the operation, and they've often been linked to the alleged discovery of a base in Antarctica and the rumoured development of advanced technology by the But each and every one of those claims has no evidence to support it. Or apart from his secret diary, of course.
He said that we have a new enemy that can fly from pole to pole with extreme speed.
And yet there's no record of him saying that in any of his official logs, published writing, or interviews. Weird. It's almost as if it's just something conspiracy theorists have made up.
And then all of a sudden, they are rumored to have these craft, which some of the designs have been found, called Hanabu.
Now, the Hanabu story emerged after World War II with claims that the Nazis had secretly developed advanced flying saucers based on recovered alien technology or breakthroughs in anti-gravity research. And these stories were often accompanied by grainy photos and alleged blueprints of these crafts. But once again, and I know this isn't going to come as any great surprise, but there is absolutely no evidence that supports that any of that is true. Well, hello, it's me, editing Creaky. Did you know that starting from this coming Monday, which is the 4th of November, I'm going to be publishing a video on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and yes, you guessed it, Friday as well, for the entire month of November, in a vain attempt to try and reach 100,000 subscribers before we reach 2025. So, now you know. Anyway, let's get back to me. And yeah, let's get back to the video.
And these Hanabu craft had the capability of utilizing a couple different forms of propulsion. One was jets, so they can take off vertically. They had little jets that would thrust and take off vertically. But then from there, they can shoot off horizontally.
Now, the information about Hanabu often comes from obscure publications, self-proclaimed experts, or anonymous sources, and they all lack credibility and there's no historical verification. Now, some proponents of the Hanabu theory point to wartime research into circular aircraft designs. But these were conventional aircraft experiments and not evidence of anti-gravity technology and UFOs. Look, it's important to be critical of information and rely on credible sources when exploring historical and scientific claims. And while the idea of UFOs is intriguing, it's crucial to separate fact from fiction and base our understanding on verifiable evidence, which is something old Billy here doesn't seem able to do.
And it's pretty interesting that I think besides the uranium that's down there in Antarctica, which obviously you know what uranium's used for, right? Nuclear power plants and also nuclear weapons.
I knew if we were patient, he'd eventually say something that isn't a load of old waffle. Yeah, there is uranium in Antarctica, but it's important to understand the context. Now, uranium is found in small amounts in rocks all over the Earth, including Antarctica. It's a naturally occurring radioactive element. But unlike other parts of the world, Antarctica is not known to have large, concentrated uranium deposits that would be economically viable to mine. But since when has a conspiracy theorist ever worried about a minor detail like the truth?
There's mountains. Admiral Byrd said there were mountains of coal with no ice caps.
Cool. I have no idea why you're bringing it up because it doesn't seem relevant to anything else you've talked about, but at least I've learned something new today because I didn't know that there were coal seams in Antarctica. That's very cool. Maybe they should have used some of it and built a fire and warmed the penguins up a bit.
Also, there's plutonium down there. Again, so uranium and plutonium, we know that if you have a high level of plutonium and uranium, it's one of the easier elements that you can separate the atoms. You can split atoms very easily, which makes it high use for weaponry and also power plants. So that's why the government wanted access down there. That's why the Germans wanted access down there. And that's why after Germany fell, we had Project Paperclip, where we took all the scientists from Germany that had learned all this wisdom and knowledge, and we brought them to America. It
wasn't mainly to prevent the knowledge they had from falling into the hands of the Soviet Union then, which was the US's main rival during the Cold War.
People think Project Paperclip was just a small number of We took over 2,000 with us.
Well, not to be nitpicky or anything, but it was closer to 1,600 German scientists, and they weren't all either. And that number included their family members, so it wasn't over 2,000 at all, you pleb.
And I know that they were developing at the time Haunebu number 4, which supposedly Hitler never got killed. He escaped in Haunebu number 4 to Argentina, which is very, very close to where? Antarctica.
Do you think people like Billy would ever listen back to their own footage and think, yeah, I probably shouldn't say that, even though a lot of what I've said in this video is a complete load of old nonsense, that may be pushing it too far?
If you look at Google Sky right now on the computer and look down on Antarctica, you'll find bases from, research bases from every major country in the world there.
Now, I hate to be the one to have to break this to you, but it's 30 countries out of more than 200 worldwide, so it's not exactly every major country in the world, is it? But you've made up pretty much everything else you've said in this video, so why would the number of countries who've got bases in Antarctica be any different for you?
And you'll also find the Rockefeller Foundation base as well.
Rockefeller Mountains, yeah. The Rockefeller Plateau, yeah. But a Rockefeller research base, I'm not even going to say yet.
We know that Antarctica was not a frozen tundra for 12 million years, like mainstream science says 12 million years to build up all this ice. No, that's not accurate.
Well, to make such a bold claim, I'm sure we're about to see some pretty damning evidence.
We know this because of the Perry-Reese map. The Perry-Reese map shows Antarctica what it looked like without ice on it, and that's not even that old.
Well, by that logic, neither am I. The Perry-Reese map is one of the oldest known maps depicting the New World in existence. And nobody had been to Antarctica until at least another 100 years after that map was first published.
So we know that Antarctica shifted into that spot. How? Because we know that Antarctica is surrounded by tectonic plates.
Really? Most of the Earth's surface is made up of tectonic plates.
And so that landmass was on a plate that slipped and there was something called a pole shift of the crust of the Earth, which shifted it from a more habitable climate into the position it is now. And that's why the animals that are being uncovered from the ice were flash frozen with undigested food in their stomachs.
Yeah, sounds like I'd have to do an awful lot of reading to be able to answer that question, and I honestly can't be asked. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget I'm going to be publishing Monday through Friday, starting from this coming Monday. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you again on Monday. Love you. Bye.
I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 it's never, ever, 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 ever gonna